This episode of Higher Journeys is brought to you in part by Gaia, the world's largest conscious media network, streaming on all of your favorite devices. The idea of parallel realities is not a new concept. Scientists have been taking a serious look as to whether multiple dimensions exist, and further, if we actually coexist within them. Physicist Hugh Everett III put forward the many worlds interpretation back in 1957, based on a quantum model that continues to be explored by scientists to this day. But now more than ever, it seems everyday individuals are having experiences that support that there may in fact really be multiple or parallel worlds, and we are constantly traversing these dimensions. I had a most fascinating exchange with Julia Cannon, daughter of the late hypnotherapist Dolores Cannon, around this idea of parallel lives. Are we existing here and there at the same time? Is the veil thinning? And is this causing more inconsistencies in the reality that we've become so accustomed to? According to Julia, the answer is yes. She says there are those that exist beyond the veil that will continue to send us more and more evidence in the form of our own experiences to help us get acclimated to living on a new earth. Take a listen. Julia, I'm going to come out and say this right now, because I want everyone to know. I think you are such a gift to this planet. You know, so many of us were saddened at the loss of your mom back in 2014. Hard to believe it's been nearly 5 years. You have taken so much of Dolores Cannon's wisdom and her teachings. Then you've added your own special gifts to the energy arsenal, let's call it. And you continue to assist so many individuals on this planet to realize their own unique gifts. So I first would like to thank you on behalf of those individuals for sharing so much with us. Now, may I give you a formal, warm welcome for the first time to our show, Higher Journeys. Welcome, Julia.
Oh my goodness, Alexis, thank you so much. I'm trying to hold back my tears.
Oh no, I don't want to make you cry.
Oh, that my heart was just exploding as you were saying that.
Well,
Oh my
you mean a lot.
God.
As you know, we, to the journeyers out there, Julia and I met this past February at Conscious Life Expo, and immediately I think we clicked, right?
Yeah.
I know we were teasing each other and taking pictures, and we got some silly pictures that we sent to some mutual friends. And from that point on, I said, I really love her. So thank you so much for joining us.
Feeling so mutual.
Oh, great. Well, listen, let's get on because we got some good stuff to talk about. You know, I had emailed you several days ago to ask if we could cover one of the many topics both you and your mother have covered over the years. And that has to do with the idea that we are all at some level coexisting in parallel lives. I want to mention that again, coexisting in parallel lives. This idea has always intrigued me, and yet it can be a reality twister, to say the least. But I think more and more people with their own experiences are starting to resonate with this idea. What do you think?
I think you're exactly right. As far as it's coming up so much anymore, and that has to do with, we were talking about the thinning veil, because that veil is what helps us to focus on this dimension, the one that we are in, the one that you're focused on, period. But we have all of these multitude of dimensions available to us. There are other versions of us, I guess you could say, and ways that we have taken the life with other decisions that we've made, and just there's so many different. Oh, I'm seeing these visuals right now. It's like so many, they're saying trajectories. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, different trajectories that we've made, I guess, and so with that, you know, we have access to them just as a matter of changing our focus. So it's just like changing. You know, they've said this for many years. It's just like changing the dial on the TV or the radio, you know, fine tuning that dial. It's back when we had dials, you know.
Right, when we had dials.
And we would adjust it, and you could get in a really sharp, clear tune, you know, attunement to that channel, whatever channel you were trying to get to. So, and once you do, then you're focused on that one. And that's the only one that you're aware of. And that's a big word, aware of. That doesn't mean the others aren't there just because you're not aware of them. They are all there. It's just this is the one that your focus is placed on. So, but any time you could change the channel and get any other one that you want to see or experience. Well, with this veil, the veil that we have when we're born, where we come into this world, and this is part of the agreement of being here, is to have the veil of forgetfulness, so we don't remember that we have access to all these things and we are great and powerful beings. And oh my gosh, there's so much trying to come in.
Take your time. I love it. Let it come in. Let this go where it needs to go, girl.
Energy is amazing.
Okay.
But there's so much that is there, but this is the experience that we chose to have here on Earth. But part of this experience at this time was to have that veil start thinning. And with that, it allows us to start, one, realizing that there are other channels out there, and then two, have the ability to start accessing them. And that means being able to see and into them or move into them and be aware of it. We've been able to move. We move through dimensions all the time, but usually we're not aware of it. Something has to really stand out as different for us to catch our attention. But most of the time, because remember, these are just other versions, it's like where we've made different decisions, and that might be just very subtle changes. And so at the whole, we're not going to notice it unless something major is different. But our conscious mind is really good at convincing us that we're not seeing what we're seeing. So it's a wonderful filter there to protect us. That's its job. It's like, no, that was always like that.
Let me ask you a question. This idea of the thinning veil, Julia, is talked about. It's something I talked about in my book, and many people are I think recognizing whatever that veil denotes. It's something is thinning between us and, I say, everything else. Why do you think now the veil is thinning noticeably?
A big part of it, it's where we are as a humanity and what we're learning, and this is when it starts thinning, that you have reached that point. I have there's a concept called Game Board Earth that I love to talk about. And,
Game Board Earth, okay.
Game Board Earth, it's like where everything, it's a game, it's a game that we created. And that was part of the game, was to come into the game and forget that we created it, and one, that it's a game and that we created it. Okay? So it's like, and that's where that veil comes in. Well, then part of it is as we grow and learn and do all these things that are part of the game, it's part of the graduation or the higher realms of it. I don't know if we're ever through with the game, but the higher realms of it, that's the whole point of this game, is to remember who we are and that we created it. And so as we are doing that, see, then that veil, it's thinning. So it's just like a natural process of it.
That makes sense. I mean, there are lots of philosophies, I think, on why now, looking at, from the Mayans in 2012 and the Kali Yuga age and the age of Aquarius, and we're sort of reaching that precipice. And yet what's coming to mind right now, Julia, is it's said that those of us that are here now were, your mom used to say, this is what did she say? This is the biggest show, the greatest show on earth.
Yeah, it's the greatest show on earth. The whole universe is watching.
The whole universe is watching.
And it's the greatest time to be alive.
Right. And yet think of all of those who have gone before us. Let's just assume the veil wasn't thinning to the extent that it is now. Maybe they're back. I mean, it would seem that all of consciousness, collective consciousness, would be experiencing this on some level.
That's a really good point, and that's and I think you're right. Well, it took all of it to get us to this point, but definitely from like our ancients, like Atlantis, Lemuria, Egyptians. I mean, all of those places. We're all back. So if you've had any lives, if you've had any thoughts of lives at those times, I mean, that's what they've said, that everybody's back, and a lot of it's because of. It's like these things were oh yeah, they're telling me these things were set in motion. Okay. And so it's like a full circle. So now we're back to, boy, I just see visuals, and it's like, it's hard to relate to them.
Take your time, because I know they want to hear this. What are you
It's
getting?
like a culmination. You're coming back full circle to, finalize isn't the word, but it's to see, it's to see what we did.
Okay. To see what we, okay.
Yeah, to see what we did, because it was all set in motion, and then now it's all come back around, and now we put it, it's all back. It's not, there's a part of it that's putting it back straight or correcting it, but it's not really the whole, that's not the feel of it. It's more like we've done that, we started it, and then now we're at its completion, and we get to see, it's like I hate to come off sounding so, I always feel like I'm a dork when I do this.
No. This is perfect. This is the way it's supposed to be. So take your time.
Well, if you've had other people that get stuff like this, you understand.
I do at times.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
It feels discombobulating sometimes, way it comes in. But it's like this, it's like the fruits of your labor, that kind of a thing. It's like we wanted to be here. We started it. Now we want to be here at its culmination. Culmination is the word that comes in rather than completion. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting.
That is interesting, because we're talking about a cycle. I think we think completion or culmination, but if there is no beginning nor end, I would suppose a culmination before it begins again. Or I'm thinking of your mom, who felt implicitly that there would be a new earth created. Maybe the culmination before the new earth. Now I'm starting. We're both kind of, hang with us, journeyers. We're just kind of exploring as we talk here. That's the way it's supposed to be.
That's how this works.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, okay.
As you were saying that, what I saw was they were showing me like an overlapping. So it's like it's like these, because there is no beginning, there is no end, but they overlap. And there's your dimensional thing again too.
Yes.
So it's like it comes back around and it overlays overlays the word, not overlap, overlays the other. And so it adds to it. Ooh, okay.
Okay, I get that. Journeyers, there's something quite interesting happening here that I'm loving, and I'm just going to let it go. As much as I love my little script, which I typically don't stay on anyway. And I tell you, I always say a prayer. Dearest, greatest spirit, let this conversation go where it needs to go for the benefit of those both involved in the conversation and those listening on the receiving end. So let's keep it flowing. Okay, let's do this. And I have a feeling it's going to trigger a whole bunch of stuff for you. So hang with me, Julia. Let's talk about this, because, there are a lot of things that would say to many of us, something big is happening here. And many people just don't know what words to use to express it. Things like missing time episodes. I'm hearing about a lot of people that are having, me included, blocks of time, maybe even just minutes, but time missing that's out of the linear construct. Synchronicity, what I call synchronicity clusters, just coming in succession, but in groups. Mm-hmm. Also, the Mandela Effect. So this seems to be pointing to this idea of multiple realities sort of all converging and playing out at once, maybe this overlapping that they are talking about. And of course, all of this happening in the midst of the veil thinning. Let's talk about the Mandela Effects. What are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that, what came to me, and I was looking into it a few years ago. I had never heard of it before, and somebody said, well, you need to look into it because your mother's right at the center of it. And I'm like, what? Okay. So I started looking into what, and it's a conundrum, but what it feels like to me, and this is what I got, is it's a wake-up call. So, and there are a lot of different ways that are being used to get people to wake up. And what has to be done in most cases to get people to wake up is you have to shake their foundation.
Yes.
In some way. It'll either be through earth changes, through supposed catastrophes, things like, that'll jolt you, or something like this where your reality, so you've got to shake them, and they're shake their foundation by doing something to their reality, to what they perceive as a reality. And so that's where, and that's on a level that they understand. That I think the people that get into that because not everybody gets it. Not everybody sees these things.
No, well, that was a question I was going to ask you. Why do you think that some people are having these sorts of encounters, and a lot, and many others aren't?
Right, and it's to get them to wake up. I think it's to really shake their foundation, so they'll start going, "What's going on here?"
Mm-hmm. Well, people are doing that.
Exactly, and that's all they have to do, because all of those things, anytime anything gets you to stop and go, wait a minute, what's happening? Mission accomplished.
Yeah. I agreed. And I think it does take a certain type of individual to first take notice and then say, wait a minute, what's going on? But I would say there's still a lot of people, Julia, that are in denial about these experiences, primarily because of their own indoctrination. This just can't be, this just isn't fitting in any bucket that I know of, so I'm just going to leave it alone. So right. Are things getting weirder and weirder, so it's just more difficult to do that now?
Yeah, they have a term. I love how they do this. They'll use different things that... how they word it. There will be something that you cannot deny. That's how they say it. And they'll give that to me in relation to different things. But I think that's what this is. It's like, the conscious mind, that's its job, is to sit there and make everything right for you. And after a while, it's not going to be able to. It's like, okay, I've tried as hard as I can. That's why sometimes you get these really hard shakes. It's because it's to really rattle you, because you can't keep denying. You'll try. That's the conscious mind's job, is to keep you in this nice little bubble. There was trying to be a word there in front of bubble, but comfy bubble, homeostatic bubble.
I like that. I like that one.
And so it's like where everything's all balanced and all pretty and everything, and nothing's, it's all just wonderful and ordinary. But after a while, you get enough of these things hitting, and it's like it can't keep denying. And and then it has to go, well, maybe there is something here. Maybe I need to look into this. Yeah. That's all that's trying to be accomplished, is just open the mind and look.
I think we're seeing that not only on an individual basis. This all resonates with me, what you're saying, but even on a macro, a global scale. I mean, I'm thinking, I'm sure you're familiar with the latest mainstream coverage of the Navy's admitting not only that they're monitoring UFO, or what they're calling UAP activity now, unidentified aerial phenomena, but have developed new guidelines for looking into these things. And whoever's reading these stories in the New York Times and the Washington Post and the New York Post are saying, oh, so you've been doing this all along. So there's this sort of, in any way, we just spoke offline, of course, and I had said, that's not necessarily my bailiwick, the entry point into the whole ufology field, but I'm watching, because I think the patterns that we're seeing of admitting policy, as Linda Moulton House says, of lies and secrecy, are starting to go away, and there's a transition that's taking place, regardless of the subject or the entry point. So, yeah, there is something huge going on that can't be denied, like you said, anymore.
Right, and that's exactly it. And the thing is, you'll see these things happening subtly. That means there's been a lot going on behind the scenes for it to finally come to view. But it's been going on so gradually, and then even that, they're bringing it in gradually, and these are all steps. So if you were to go backwards and then go back in time and look back at this, you'll see what huge steps have just been made in the process. And, and it's huge. I bet just we go through it day by day, and we're like, okay, well, that's good. It's all here. And we're in the feeling part of the vibrations. Everything's growing and growing, and our vibrations are increasing. But if you go back and back in time and then look back to this time, you'll see what a huge shift we have been going through. Huge shifts.
I just got this image of looking at a baby that it's your baby, right? So you're with the baby every day, and from that perspective, you're not seeing the baby. I mean, obviously you're seeing the baby grow. You realize over a period of time, but not on a day by day basis. And yet you bring someone in that hasn't seen the baby for a year, and they'll go, "Oh my God, she's grown so much." Does that make sense? That's the image that just came to me.
That's exactly it. We're there every day, and we go through these things. They're all subtle, and we adapt constantly. But if you were to go back, I mean, yeah, bring somebody in or whatever, however that's been in a void or been away from it, and then they can see the change from whatever point in time to now, it'll be huge. Where we don't see it as anything. We say, oh yeah, there's been some change. I've grown, whatever, but it's like, it's not a big deal, or I've changed, or the world's changed, or, but it's huge what's happening.
It is. No, you know what? I love that perspective. Don't you guys out there? That is really important, Julia, and I think we all need to take stock of that, because I think there's some of us, particularly in this field, that are thinking, come on, you need to be moving a little faster here. We're going to, but if you take that perspective, like you said earlier in the show, shifting your focus just a little bit, you'll see, zoom out a little bit. I love it. Okay, let me mark that one down. Okay, let's move on. Let's move on to I'm so excited. You guys, we've got so much to talk about. And I say this with other guests, but this is for sure. We're going to have Julia back, but we still got a ways to go. So let's get to this next thing. Okay. I want to talk about what has been referred to by both you and your mother in the context of a parallel reality, I suppose, backdrop or backfill people. Now, this concept is wild. Let me explain for the journeyers. What we're talking about are people who appear in our experience of life. You're going to the grocery store and you see a bunch of people at the store. You're walking down a city street and there are a bunch of people there. But what is suggested is that these are not necessarily people who are real as we think them to be. They may actually be holographic in nature. This is a mind twister. Can you explain what this is all about? It really is.
It is a mind twister, and I'm still wrapping my head around it. But the best way that I have found to help my mind to deal with it, because that's really kind of how it works sometimes. Some of these concepts, when they get way out there, it's like, and I can't push it under a rug. So what can I do with it? But let's look at it this way. Okay. First, the analogy of a movie set. We're making a movie set makes a movie, and you have your star, your main character, and you have your supporting characters. You have your main group, right? That's making up the storyline. But your set would be really empty if that's all you had were just a few people. So you have to fill it in with extras, and that's why they have those roles, the extras, and they don't speak, they don't have main influences on the main characters' lives or roles, but they're filling it in so that it looks better, for whatever scene it is. Okay, so let's just keep with that analogy. Now, we, as the great and powerful beings that we are here having our experiences. And the biggest part of that experience, we're creating constantly. We are creating our world. We're creating our movie set, for our experience that we're having here. Now, we have ourselves, and then we have our supporting, our main characters. And if that's all we had, it would really be an empty set, this world of ours.
Right.
So we fill it in. We are the creators of this world, of our lives. We fill it in with these extras that would make these different scenes look, and feel more appropriate or whatever. And they're just there. These people are just there to be fill-ins. Like we were talking about earlier, the grocery store, train stations, airports.
Which you see a lot. You see a lot of those. You see a lot of backdrop people, I'm sure.
When this concept first came out, Mom was first exploring it, and I was caught in an airport for quite a while, and it was so crowded. And I was like, okay. I took it that they were trying to get that concept through to me. So I was looking around, I was like, yeah, okay. I filled in with a lot of people here.
Yeah.
But as far as yeah, they can be. When we say holographic, we're thinking of what we see on TV and how they have that you can see through them and stuff. But that's not the case. I mean, they're solid in a sense, as that they are material and what we understand as solid. I mean, if we really saw everything as it really is, it's all energy.
Sure.
And it would be different. But that's that filter again, making it this homeostatic world that we can accept, that we can see everything in the way that works for us. And makes us feel more comfortable. But if we really saw it the way it was, it probably would be shimmers or just different energetic values.
Absolutely. And there have been depictions of that. I mean, when you start to move into more scientific or even quasi-scientific circles, that's been demonstrated, from a subatomic perspective, that we know that, it's all about rate of vibration, and the slower the vibration, the more solid it appears, but it's still constantly moving. There is no such thing as stagnancy, ultimately. But again, I'm getting visuals as you're explaining this, Julia. I'm seeing, actually, the scene that I'm seeing is in The Matrix, the original Matrix movie, where I think Morpheus is talking to Neo and just sort of explaining how things are. And there's lots of scenes of lots of people just kind of walking around the street. And I think it's implied that these people, at some level, aren't what we think they are, let's just say.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And that you're bringing up a really, really, really good point. And that's how movies, TV, all these different media are really, really trying to, they're introducing and trying to get us to understand these different concepts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would say so. There are lots of words for it. Some people call it predictive programming. Which may be a little nefarious, but nonetheless, I agree with you. Regardless of the motivation, I think there's an acclimation that's going on with how things may actually be. And,
and it could be just, hey, just a matter of open your mind up. It's possible. And I think if we just stay in the possibility realm of things, then that keeps it, just don't lock down. Just stay open to possibilities.
Right.
Then anything can happen.
Anything can happen. Yeah, I agree with you. And I think that maybe the key is the more open we are, the more will be shown. Maybe that's the key to getting the veil to completely dissipate.
Absolutely. I agree with you. Yeah.
Do you think that at times we can all serve as backdrops for someone else? Have you had a Gaia experience yet? Have you seen the depth of offerings in their library? Have you watched one of the brand new original TV series that Gaia.com produces on their own with zero TV commercials interrupting the moment? From yoga to UFOs and everything in between, Gaia is building a community of seekers connected to a specific mission on planet Earth. They are here to empower the evolution of consciousness. As our culture becomes more connected, Gaia is bringing all the knowledge and wisdom collected from luminaries across the globe right into your living room. 550,000 members and counting are here to explore who are we and why are we here, with specialists in metaphysics, ancient wisdom, the unexplained, and more. Only on Gaia. You can join for only 99 cents. Take it for a test drive and take advantage of my special offer exclusive to the Higher Journeys audience. We'll see you over at Gaia.com.
That was my first question. That's what made sense to me, and that hasn't really been what came through in sessions with what my mother got. But that makes sense because we're all creating. So why wouldn't we? Okay, if I'm creating my world and I'm going to ask you to be a fill-in for mine, I'll be a fill-in for yours. I mean, that makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Maybe it's another aspect of us. I mean, look, this brings so many more questions into.
It does, but that's a great way to look at it. It could be. I mean, this is that whole other, we were talking about these overlays of dimensions, and they have told me so many times, and they probably told you this too, Alexis. We have barely scratched the scratch of the surface of what's really going on. And, it's like the door isn't even open yet. It's not even cracked. It's like we're seeing through when you have two doors that are closed and you have that little bitty gap there.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we've been looking through.
Yeah.
That's what's been coming in. So that as the door starts to crack open, just crack open, that's where all this stuff's coming in. So can you imagine when the doors are actually open, what we're going to know and understand? I don't know about understand, but at least maybe.
Well, I've always felt, Julia, at some level, and I've gotten this from nowhere other than just a sense, that there is an aspect of our consciousness that already knows, already has seen, already understands, has assimilated, and operates within that framework. There's one thing that you have brought up throughout this show that I think is really clear, and that is we are, how can I say it? Well, we're multidimensional, to sound a bit cliche. And it's really in that we're the ones that are triggering all of these things, including creating the veil and thinning the veil. That it's really just us that's doing this.
Absolutely, and that's what's so crazy. I don't know. It's so empowering. First people are going, wait a minute, no, I would not do this. I would create this for myself. This is crazy. And that's usually the first reaction. But if you'll just stick with it and stay open, you'll realize how empowering that is. It's like when you realize that you are the creator, maybe you don't like what you've been creating, but at least you know that you're the one that's been doing it. So if you've done that, then guess what?
You can change it.
You can change it. Yeah. If you don't like it, change it. You can do it because you did it.
Isn't that that's a huge responsibility though for people to accept, particularly if they've had been dealt a bad deal. What do you call it? Bad hand. There you go. I don't play cards, but
guess who dealt them that hand?
Themselves.
Yes.
That's the philosophy. And there's some people out there that would argue, but I think that there's something to it, and yet it could be even more complex than that. That's another conversation altogether. But whether we're creators or have the ability to access infinity through what is referred to as the field, what we're doing is bringing a reality into our 3D experience by virtue of our request, by virtue of what it is we want. Yeah. So I don't know. That's deep. That's deep. All of this is deep. I don't know where to go from here.
We went right into the. I always there's you have the shallow end, you have the deep end, and you have the ocean. We're really close to the ocean.
Right. Oh, no question. The bottomless ocean. Wow. Yeah. Empowering and scary at the same time. All of these ideas make you question how real any aspect of reality is at all. And we know that in some Indian cultures, for instance, namely the Vedic tradition, Maya simply means illusion or the malleability of reality. It's ever changing. Discussing this idea of backdrops or backfills may be holographic. That they may be holographic. And one of the main characteristics of a hologram is its appearance is 3D when it's really just an illusion. Are we just an illusion, Julia?
Well, but isn't that what they're always saying about all of reality? It's all an illusion. So the whole thing is an illusion.
Then what's real?
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. They said we barely cracked the doors. This is what we are able to understand at this point with what we've been presented. Yeah, and this is huge. Remember, this is huge. We've made leaps and bounds.
Yeah.
Jumps here. So, and we get it as we are able to conceive, understand, all those things. So more is coming. Just know that there's more. And we will understand. We will get it when we are able to.
Let me ask you, let's see what you get on this. And I'm sure you've approached this before. People, again, particularly in this area where they're just they're so thirsty for this sort of information, and certainly their own experiences. We're looking at primarily still relatively subtle, the synchronicities of seeing 11:11. Journeyers know I talk about that all the time, and other such things that just don't seem to make sense in a linear or 3D framework. These are somewhat subtle. Do you get a sense, or have you been told, that there is going to be a game changer event, one singular event that will just, all bets will be off, that all of us can witness?
I have not.
Okay, fair enough.
I have not. I have heard about others saying that. What I have been told is it's already done and we're expecting this great big thing. And it's like we're not even going to see it until we accept that it could possibly already be done.
Interesting. Which again says that we are the answer we've been looking for. When we're ready to see it, we'll see that it's already happened.
We're always looking outside of ourselves, for something. And it's like, no, it's inside. Yeah. We're the ones that are doing this. We're the ones that are, the change happens within. So, sure. Yeah.
As within, so without.
Absolutely.
That's all of these aphorisms do not come about from nothing. Ay, ay, ay. I love it. I love it. This is so cool.
I know we want answers, but then
we got them already. We've got them.
Exactly.
Yeah, we've got them.
Said, well, why are we here? What's the point? Well, it's to have the experience. This is something we chose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and always that's a good question. We know all of this in this other part, and this other that all encompassing part, but the experience comes from actually being in this plane in a body and going through these things, and then we learn even more. So it's always shading. There's that overlaying thing again.
The overlaying thing, yeah. I need to ask you a question right now. This is I'm so loving where this conversation is going, because it is. I'm trying to keep some of the focus on some of the things I wanted to bring up, but I just love that it's flowing so naturally. And here's the thing that I have to ask you right now. Are you getting some of these messages from your mom?
I don't know who they come from. I believe it's my higher self, because I'm just open and it comes in. Sometimes I'm aware of when it's her, and
okay.
This doesn't feel like that. It just feels like universal information. I mean, but that doesn't mean it's not her. So,
I feel her presence right now.
Okay.
I really do. I do. I don't know what else to say. I've never met your mother. Obviously, I'm familiar with her work, but I'm getting the impression that I think she has. Now, your mother was the number one questioner on the face of the planet. Oh. She's still the number one questioner off the face of the planet. But she's gotten some answers, and she's trying to say, guys, listen, I just got a visual, and if it comes back to me, it's gone now. But I just felt like she put it there. Let's see if it comes back. It's gone for now. But anyway, just had to bring that up. Let's see what comes back.
Yeah, well, it could be. See, also the conversation that we're having here those are the kind of conversations that Mom and I used to always have.
Yeah.
I was always saying we need to turn a recorder on.
I know, right? They're all there. They're all there. So maybe that's why, because it's the same tone. We're kind of yeah. Okay. I'm looking at the clock. Oh boy, I said we were going to do about 45 minutes today, but let's see. I want to talk about your QHHT, your mom's QHHT, which you are carrying on brilliantly and beautifully all over this planet. We're talking about the quantum healing hypnosis technique, and also ideas, and I'm sure this QHHT that's based in part on your book, Soul Speak, The Language of Your Body. So I want to get into those two things if we can. First, I know that there are a lot of people that know about QHHT and have been involved with it. But for those that aren't, could you give us a little thumbnail as to what it is?
Sure. Quantum healing hypnosis technique is a hypnosis technique that my mother created. Oh, my goodness. It was over 40 years of work that she developed this. And it started with past life regression, but then when she just started getting into higher realms of information, it started with the ETs, and they were giving her more and more information. And then that led to a higher, it's like the universal knowledge level. It was like everything you could want to know, and it's accessed through the person. So what it comes down to is each and every one of us have access or has access to this part. And in a session, in a QHHT session, it's a hypnosis session, you will gain access to this part. So it's like, we've always been told we have all the answers within. Well, yes. This is what shows that. I mean, it's right there. You have access to that. Through a session, someone helping facilitate that, you are helping to get them access to that and show them what that feels like. And then what happens is then you're able to do this on a conscious level to access this part of yourself at any time, because it's showing you, yes, this is all within you.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want now. They want us. They said no more going outside of yourself. That's, to finding gurus and all these things. You have all the answers. Connect within. Get to your own answers, to your own higher guru, your own higher self.
Agreed. Oh, agreed. I couldn't say it any better. Really, I have said, stop looking for the guru out
Mm-hmm.
there. Stop looking for the guru out there. They are no measure to the guru you already know. You are the guru, capital G.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what they're saying. They said it's time to be your own channel.
Mm-hmm.
And it's time to be your own guru. I mean, these are, because you're bringing in, when you have a session, you are bringing in more of you, because this is you, the real big you. I call it big me and little me.
Mm-hmm.
Big me, the higher source, the higher you, just having an experience called you, and that's where you come in. But it's where we are limited on this plane in what we know. That other part of us is unlimited. Mm-hmm. And so we can access it and at any time, and you can start it with a session. Some people just do it spontaneously, but a session really, really helps to tap in and understand. And then once you've done that, then you're able to better understand how to do that on a conscious level.
Was your mother given this as sort of a syllabus, if you don't mind me asking? How did it come into her? And I know it took a lot of time to develop it to what it is now, but was this sort of an epiphany she had? You're going to develop this.
Sessions. It was through sessions.
It was all through
sessions, talking to people's higher selves.
Well, I know. Mm-hmm.
They just kept bringing in information, and then they were teaching her how to contact this part on, because first it was a fluke, and she's like, man, I wonder if that could ever happen again. And then they were like, oh, this is what you do. And then there'd be healing, it's immediate healing, because you have questions being answered. And that's what healing, it's what anything that's out of sorts, you've got questions, there's things that need to be answered. And questions and answers come in different forms. It's not just verbal. So once you get answers, and it can be perspectives, it can be just understandings. Mm-hmm. Once you get those answers, then you can be healed. I mean, it can all just go away, whatever the situation is. And that's where soul speak comes in.
Yes.
It's understanding this part of yourself and how it's trying to speak to you. And it's speaking to you through your body until you figure out that you can just have a conversation with them just by doing it, and hearing them and just talking and getting access to them yourself. Then they're going to communicate through your body. Just to get your attention.
Just to get your attention. I've heard you say, I think it was you, maybe your mom, but I think it was you that said it. This is a quote. Within your body is an entire universe. When you talk to your body, you are the voice of God.
Yes, we both have said that. Yes. It's in
That's
my book.
powerful.
Yes. It is powerful, and people need to understand that, because it is a whole universe that's going on here. And to that universe, we are God. And when you think about it, it's like, what do most of the universes hear from their gods? Nothing, or very harmful statements. You're stupid, you're fat, you're ugly. Why can't you be like so and so? And what's going on with you? And I'm just such a failure. And blah 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 blah. And so, but if all you have to do is just start speaking, I am. I mean, because all those were I am statements.
That's true. That is true. I am this, I am that, or how about just I am? Yeah. I am that I am.
I am that I am. And I mean, the universe is always listening, and it will do whatever you say. It's there to it's your crew. I've heard somebody else describe it as a crew. You are the captain, and that's the crew. They're there ready to carry out whatever orders you're giving. Yeah. So if you're feeding those kind of orders, well, they're going, aye, aye, Captain,
Right. Have you read the book by Joseph Murphy? This is an old one called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind.
No.
Oh my gosh, it is a perennial classic. I'll get you a link. Everybody out there, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind. That book had to be written, I want to say the 70s, maybe early 80s, but to me, it's exactly what we're talking about in terms of a phrase that he said once that I'll never forget. He says, the subconscious can't take a joke. And he tells the story, and this is a true story of a person, I believe it was a man who wanted to see his daughter go to college but couldn't afford it. And he would constantly use this sort of, colloquially say, I would give my right arm to see my daughter go to college. Well, you can imagine what happened. He kept repeating that, got in a car accident, got his right arm amputated, and something happened serendipitously where his daughter was able to go to college.
Yeah.
The subconscious is not designed to take a joke.
No, that's why you've got to be careful. I mean, you really have to monitor your thoughts and your words and your all of that, because like so many times we saying, oh, I'm so tired. I always get sick every winter. I always, there's like, okay, fine. And, it's going to give you whatever it is you're saying and whatever you're thinking. So it's like, just monitor. And that's your first part. It's just one, being aware, and then two, start monitoring what's happening there, because we've done it so long. We've been conditioned beautifully to do all this stuff. So,
did we do that too? Did we condition ourselves?
Well, voluntarily. I mean, we were conditioned by at any point we can stop it. And that's the point of awareness. And then it's like, okay, now it's on you. See, up until now, we've been doing it unconsciously.
Right.
So now we're going to do it consciously.
I think that's the key. Seth, the famous Jane Roberts, the channel for Seth, yes. His was very simple. YCYOR. You create your own reality. Yeah. But I think the key word is we create our own reality, whether conscious or unconscious. Most of the time it's unconscious. Now we've got to consciously create our own reality, or at least procure from the field of all, is what I kind of like to say, which we're creating our reality here and rooting it in the 3D. So, but
it starts right there with your thoughts, your words, and your actions. I mean, you've got to, those thoughts create, words create. So you have to pay attention to what's going on there, and you have to pay attention about what's being fed in.
Yes.
It's like a computer system, just garbage in, garbage out. I don't know if they use that anymore, but
yeah, sure.
Really, you've got to monitor what you're allowing in, because it processes, and then when you do notice what thoughts you're thinking and different things, then watch what they're saying, what's happening there, and adjust it if necessary. And that's all it is. It's just, paying attention. At first it's a challenge. It can be a challenge. But it catches on pretty quick. You'll catch yourself, and it's like, and you'll shift, and then you'll go on. It doesn't have to be any big, horrible task,
right. And it's interesting. I'm getting another visual of, as you're feeding yourself, whether it's a negative, destructive thought or words, or positive, the body, we were talking about the body, I'm sure will react. I mean, this is a form of kinesiology, even, muscle testing. How does your body feel when you say to yourself, oh, I'm such a failure. Mm-hmm. Oh, I hate my boss. Oh, I whatever.
I've used as an analogy. Yeah, I've used as an analogy in classes. Okay. If you were to say things like that to a child, what do they do? What would they do?
They'd feel horrible. They'd feel horrible, for starters. Tell me, what would they do?
They'd feel horrible. They'd probably curl up in a corner.
Yeah, in a fetal position.
Yes. So that gives you an idea of what's going on inside of you when you feed it that kind of information, that kind of language. Yeah. But the opposite happens when you start praising it. Oh my gosh, you're such a wonderful body, and look what you do for me all day long. You support me, and you're just fantastic. And this is so good how we did this, and blah, blah, blah. Then what happens? You get standing up tall and proud and,
yes.
and excited, and that's how your body responds. And so if you are wondering about some issues going on with your body, you might look at some of the language that's being fed, and because I've gone through that. I healed myself from something that it was just for me not loving myself.
Hmm.
And so I just flipped it around and I just started loving every single cell in my body. I was just constantly praising it. And it was like,
And meaning it, of course.
pardon?
Meaning it, not just reciting it, but feeling it.
Absolutely. I
Feeling
mean,
it.
I was, oh, I love you. I was having an issue with my knees, and I was like, I love you, knees. I love you, feet. I love you. Look what you do for me. I mean, I stand up a long time when I'm in these classes, and that they are wonderful legs, to keep me going there.
They're
And
supporting you, absolutely. Literally. Yeah.
literally, yeah. And I remember one time I was coming out of the shower and I was drying myself off and kind of going through the steps again. And I looked at my feet. I was like, I designed the best body in the whole world. And I was
I
like,
love it.
yeah. And I was like, I thought right behind that, I was like, I know you've never heard that one before.
Oh, stop it. You're so funny. I love it though. And I think now I think I understand where the quantum in QHHT comes from, because part of the postulate of the quantum model is that every cell in our body is not only conscious, but intelligent. So it too is sending and receiving. Oh, I love it. Okay, let's talk about QHHT. We're running out of time. You've got to, I want to look into QHHT. Journeyers, I want you all to look into it. Tell us where you're going to be, because you will literally be all over the world.
All over the world.
Can you tell us the next several
In
stops?
the world, I'm probably going to be there. We have different levels of courses, and the first level we have in different formats. We have it online, so you can take it at any time, in any place. I mean, in your place, in your pajamas if you wanted to. So it's done at your pace. Then we have a few live level ones that we do around the world per year. And this year we're doing one in Atlanta, Georgia. And then we're also doing one in Gibraltar, Spain.
Wow.
Yeah. And then we have level 2 classes, and what we do there is, because you learn everything you need in the level 1 to do the technique. But then if you want to keep taking it on and you want to further this as a practice, as a career maybe, then we're helping to hone your skills and make you a top-notch practitioner. And that's on level 2 classes. And that's what we're really going around the world doing this year. A majority of them we have coming up in China and Byron Bay, Australia. We'll be in July. Then we'll be in England in August.
And we're going to keep missing each other. We've talked about that. Everywhere you're going, not Hong Kong, but Australia, the UK. Oh, boy.
Yeah, and then we'll be back here in the States. Actually, we do come here once in a while. And we'll be in Mount Shasta in California in September.
Beautiful.
And then in October, we'll be in the south of France. And then in Egypt at the end of November.
Oh my goodness.
All of these we have these excursions that we do with them, so that they're like sacred journeys, or whatever you want, they're to sacred sites. So everywhere we go, we just do something, we find something that's there, and we all go together and we do it, and it's, oh my gosh, it's so wonderful. Like in Gibraltar, after the class, we'll go across the strait to Tangier in Morocco, and we'll actually do a camel ride on the beach.
Oh my goodness. I love it. I had one of those very quick, very brief camel rides.
Oh, really?
We won't go into the details as to why, but you can probably imagine. I know that's going to be stunning though. Oh my goodness.
And the same like with Egypt, we'll be out, Egypt.
Yeah, I sure do.
So we'll be there going to the pyramids, and we'll have like a 3-day piece that we do right with the class. Then I'll be right after the class. Then I'll be the pyramids and the Sphinx and all that right there at Giza, and then we'll have another 4-day. If anybody wants to join us on that, we'll be a cruise down the Nile too.
Did that too? Cool. Oh my god! Listen,
I haven't done that yet, and so I'm so excited about.
We'll talk about that offline. I can tell you a few things about that too. Did that? Listen, everyone, this is a destination opportunity among other things. So for those that are living in these places, we obviously reach a global audience, but those that may be here in the States and want to do some traveling, how you couldn't find a better way or reason to do it. Julia, my dear, just like your mother, you have got boundless energy. It must run in the family. Oh my God. This is incredible.
Maybe she is here.
Really, really special. This is special. Well, listen, everyone, you can, of course, learn more about this dynamic modality. I'm going to have a link, but I will tell you, QHHT. Go to QHHTofficial.com. Official, that's the important thing. QHHTofficial.com. We'll make sure to have a link. Check it out. Listen, one last thing. You also, where do you have time to do a podcast on BBC Radio? Is that right?
BBS.
BBS. Did I say BBC? Uh-oh. BBS Radio. Note to BBC. She's coming.
You won't find me.
BBS Radio. Forgive me, guys. I love that network, actually. Tell us about your podcast real quick.
It's called the Metaphysical Hour. It's another thing that I carried on after Mom passed. And it's just, we talk about, it's kind of like this. It's everything open. Just
love it.
Anything's game, let's just talk about it. It's, what else would you expect from the Metaphysical Hour? Right. So, and we do a lot of QHHT talk on there. We talk with a lot of practitioners, but as well as all the different things that are coming in through sessions. I mean, you can only imagine.
I know. Yeah.
I mean, they're they're all tapped into this, this information network. So we talk about all of that. So it's really exciting.
Never, ever a shortage of things to talk about in this sphere we call the metaphysical transformational community. I love it. You are bringing so much to it. As I said in the beginning, you are truly a gift. You are, my dear. God bless you. Thank you. Thanks so much for joining me. So we're going to close out now. But before we do, I want to remind the journeyers, if you enjoyed this episode, and particularly if you know someone that could benefit from learning about QHHT and the work of both Julia and Dolores Cannon, I urge you to like and share this content with your circle of friends and family. So please share and let's spread the word. And of course, if you like Higher Journeys, you know what to do. I'm going to invite you again to subscribe to our channel for brand new episodes each and every week. Thank you, Ms. Cannon. We all love you. Keep up the good work. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Alexis. My honor.